Hello and welcome to my studio. I'm going to be using my gel plate today to get some quick colour down onto this piece of A3 mixed media paper. I'll mainly use these Galeria acrylics in Cad Red, Cad Yellow and Cad Orange. I'm also going to use a bit of the Pebeo Gold Metallic, and I will use some black acrylic as well. So we are continuing with our artist-inspired prompt in the Mixed Media Emporium Facebook group. So I'll initially put down a layer of red and orange kind of mixed together, and then I'll go on later to do a layer of the yellow. And as I do this, let me tell you where I have taken my inspiration from this week. Martin Bradley is an English artist born in 1931, and I'm using his piece Personnage Jaune, excuse the French pronunciation there, so yellow personage, which he created in 1954. I'll put a link to it in the description box, so you can either pause the video now and go and take a look at that, or perhaps you could look at it after this video. Martin Bradley's work is mainly abstract and uses lots of symbols which are said to be influenced by the calligraphy of China and Japan, and he also converted to Buddhism a number of years ago. I think I see in his work symbols from the early space age, but I've never seen that written about anywhere, so that's just what I personally see in some of his work. So back to what I'm doing. I've got my red-orange down, then my yellow on top of that, and I will end with a very thin layer, just little bits here and there, of the gold metallic, and you can just see the light hitting that in the top right hand corner. I'm now using just a little bit of black acrylic with some water added to it, and I'm just going to start to put down on this A3 sheet some symbols similar to those that Martin has used in his work, and also just add a few of my own. Now, if you look at the piece that I'm using as the inspiration, you'll see that there's just a few lines and symbols on it. I'm going to put many more onto this page because I'm actually going to end up folding this and making it into an artist book. This is going to be a meander book, sometimes referred to as a zigzag meander book. Now that my page is full, I will dry it and then start to fold it, and I've slowed this down so that you can see at real speed the folds that go into this. So I'm folding it from one side to the other, trying as far as possible to make sure that those corners meet each other and that I'm getting a straight line. And this can be done with any size of paper. I've just chosen to do A3. Obviously, the bigger the sheet of paper, the bigger the pages will be at the end of the day. So I've folded it in half horizontally. What I'm now going to do is to take each side and fold it back into the middle. Taking my time with this because I want to make sure as far as possible I'm getting those nice straight lines, and I will go over this with a bone folder later. So I'm now going to start folding it the other way. Now, depending on how many pages you want in your book, you can either fold it the exact same way so as to get 4 going the opposite way, or I want to do this in thirds. So, you know, I could measure it very roughly like this and then fold it, but I'm not actually sure that I'm going to get a nice even size of page. So I measure this and then I divide it by 3. So I measure it and just mark my lines with a pencil. And all I'm going to do now is to look for those pencil lines and then just fold it. And again, I can use the other edges to make sure that I'm getting it correctly lined up. Now, trying to take my time here because I do want it to have the pages as equal as possible. So fold it one way and then I go to the other side and I look for my lines again. And then I will just put in a rough line there, but I will, as I say, go over this with a bone folder. So, just folding again, and you'll see that this gives me a total of 12 little panels, but just folding it again, getting a nice crease into that, and that will make it easier for when it comes to cut. So I'll turn it over now so you can see exactly where I'm going to cut. But basically I'm going to do 3 cuts, and again I've got this horizontally, so I'm just marking there where I'm going to make the cut to, and just putting my pencil along there, and that's the line that I'm going to cut along. On this side I'm going to go in the opposite direction. Now if you had folded this into 4s, then what you would do is go down to the next line again and you would cut it in the same way as your top one. So you're always going to do it alternately from each side, and you only cut 3 panels along. So I'm just going to use a rotary tool now and just cut almost up to that line. My ruler doesn't take me right up there, so I'll just finish it off with a pair of scissors. I then flip the paper round, and this time I'm going to cut up the other line. So as I say, if you had folded it into 4s, you would then go down to the next one and cut from the other side as you did with the first one. Now that that's cut, I'm going to start in the top right hand corner, and what you should do here is you want to fold your painted side to painted side and then your blank to blank. When it comes to the end, you fold it down and under. So again, painted side to painted side, fold under, blank to blank, painted to painted, and then fold under. Now, what this does at the end is give you all your painted pages inside, but you are left with a blank front cover and back cover. So what you can do is just paint those, or as I'm going to do, I'm going to glue all my pages together and then I will glue a cover on it which I will decorate separately. Now with the gluing, I took my time with this as well because you want to make sure that you're gluing the correct pages together. So it's just a case of working through it, gluing them down. I just flick through the book to see what opens where, just using some glue and a brush and just remembering which pages have opened where. I go back, check the book, check where I next want to do, and I just go through all the pages that way. be ideal to put it under something heavy to push them all together, but my paint was still slightly sticky, so I just opened it like this to leave it to dry while I created the cover. And basically I'm just going to use some red and orange to create my cover, and this was just on a piece of leftover watercolour paper. I'm leaving the covers more a red-orange colour rather than adding the yellow, just to differentiate it from the inside of the book, and of course putting some similar symbols onto this. So I made it ever so slightly bigger than the actual book itself so that I can trim it down when the time comes. What I want to do though is to make sure that the back of the pages are all fully bound together, and I'm just going to use this. This was actually a bag of some description, and I'm just going to cut a little bit off of this. Now this isn't essential, it's just the way that I wanted to do it. Now this sort of book can be made with any type of art really. It works well with abstract because once you fold it you're not quite sure which images are going to be up which way. So some will be round the other way from your initial sheet of paper. So all I've done is to cut that little bit of fabric, and it just means that I don't need to glue my covers fully to the spine. The fabric's going to act as the spine. Now just opening it, closing it, opening it, just to make sure that there's going to be enough give in the fabric so that it can open fully. And then I'll attach my covers. So the cover is going down in one piece, and there will be a little bit of a gap between the fabric and the spine of the actual cover. So getting a good amount of glue down and onto that. And I just spend a moment or two just lining it all up. And then what I'll do is just to trim off the excess. Now I just use the ruler and the craft knife for this, and this must be the worst craft knife in the world because the blade will not stay firmly in place. So I need to replace that at some point. Now I'll need to add a little bit more glue between some of the pages that had stuck down, simply because it hadn't been under a heavy weight and therefore it was just coming a little bit apart here and there. So just a bit of glue. Now just finishing it off rather than going round the pages with ink, I'm just using this gold paint in an uneven fashion just to kind of frame the pages, and this also helps hide any little bits where the paint's lifted, or indeed anywhere that the page is perhaps a little bit uneven. So I'll just show you the final thing in just a moment. Now of course Nina and our guest for this month, Almut Olsen, will both have videos, and I will leave links to their videos in the description box below. I'll also leave a link to the Mixed Media Emporium Facebook group. So here is my artist book inspired by Martin Bradley and his piece Personnage, Jaune. I do hope you've enjoyed seeing me make this artist book. I'm pleased with the way it's turned out. I love the symbols that he uses. I added in a few of my own. As I say, this style where you're doing the painting first works well with any abstract, because it doesn't really matter if it ends up getting turned upside down or whatever. In fact, it's quite fun coming to the end and seeing how the individual pages have turned out. So I'll just do a brief flip through, and as I'm doing that, I'll just say, as always, thank you so much for watching. I do hope you'll leave me a comment below. Slightly behind in replying to comments again, but I'm going to get caught up with them in the next few days. So thanks so much for watching. Please do take care, and I hope you'll join me again next time. Bye for now.